Risa.
And I'm Chris. And we're still crazy after all these beers.
This week's episode of Still Crazy After All These Beers is brought to you by Palm Breweries, Belgian, unique, independent.
This is a first-time event in beautiful Secaucus, New Jersey, right outside New York City, the International Great Beer Expo at the Meadowlands Center. And I'm with a fellow I've known for several years, Mr. Rick Reed of Cricket Hill Brewing. How you doing, Rick?
So far, so good.
Yeah, all right. Now, listen, I've met you not long after your brewery opened, and of course, you're in North Jersey. And the company, as we mentioned, is called Cricket Hill. Tell us a little bit about the history of the brewery, because you started this. You weren't. No offense, but you weren't a baby when you started this company.
Oh no, I was getting up there in age, and that was 10 years ago. So I started the brewery because I had been able to travel around the country, and everywhere I went, there were wonderful brew pubs, there were wonderful breweries, wonderful beers. I came back to New Jersey, and all there were Miller, Coors, and Bud, and there was not a lot of craft beer in the state. And I said, you know what? They're missing out. We got to do something here. So we started Cricket Hill Brewery. We started on the philosophy that we're going to make beers as gentle in style as they can be, so that we can get the big American lager drinkers to come to an all malt, that come to a craft beer without getting scared away, so they can appreciate and begin the wonderful adventure of beer drinking.
And that's the same, I could say, basis of the company that you gave me 10 years ago. You were looking to position yourself as, is it right to say, a transitional company?
Absolutely.
The people who are interested in the craft beers, they want to know what the buzz is, but they can't make that full jump. You got to kind of work your way to it. Yep. For me, it took about 10 years to go from drinking the mass marketed flavors to the craft beer, so you're that step.
And how much better you off are for it, you know what I'm saying?
You can't go back. You can't go back.
That's it.
And you know what, I remember when the lager came out, but you gave me a really tasty IPA here. Tell me a little bit about the IPA. I know you're drinking some of that also.
Well, this was our first of the big challenges, because IPAs historically are big beers with a lot of hop. They can be so hoppy they could knock you down.
Absolutely.
A lot of breweries got famous for their IPAs, but originally IPA was started by King George when the British soldiers were scattered around the world defending the empire. They were actually paid in an allotment of ale. Money didn't do them any good because they were in foreign countries, and if they got back to England after the war, they would get their sterling, and then they would spend it in the taverns. And so when they were in the Crimean Wars in India, the ships had to go around the Cape of Good Hope to get there. It was a 6-month voyage. It was hot, it was cold. By the time the ships got there, the ale was spoiled. So they weren't getting paid. So they said, listen, we're going to go home or get us our pay, get us our ale. So King George at the time went to George Hodgson, the big brewer in London, and said, make me a beer that'll survive this trip. So he elevated the alcohol level up, which is a bacteria fighter, and then he raised the hop level way up, which in itself is a bacteria fighter, and if the beer started to turn, it would mask the turn. He called it India Pale Ale, and it went there, it got to India, it was good. He thought it would be watered down when it got there, but the water wasn't any good in India, so it got drinking full strength. We make it the way King George originally wanted it made, with East Kent Goldings, all British hops, and then gentle, easy to drink, a session IPA, which is not easy to do, and we keep it under 5%. From then, a lot of breweries have taken it way over the top, made a lot of great IPAs that you can have one, good designer beers. You can have one, and it's probably the best IPA you have. But we have session IPAs, so you can sit down and drink 10 or 12 of them, no problem.
And that's kind of the good thing about it. I remember once, many, many years ago, attending an IPA tasting. Probably about a dozen IPAs. After about the second or third, I didn't know what the hell I was drinking because I was so inundated with hops. The hop profile can get so big in some of these IPAs that you can't taste anything else.
That's exactly right.
This doesn't do that. This gives me more balance to it as well.
Yep. We in a perfect world, because what we do is step one beers like you suggested. So in a perfect world, if you're a beer geek and somebody comes to you and says, I want to try an IPA, what do you suggest? You always say, try Cricket Hill first. They're going to introduce you to the style. You're going to know what it tastes like, and if you enjoy it, from there, the adventure continues.
A couple things. People are going to want to know where they can find Cricket Hill.
Well, you can go to the website, www.crickethillbrewery.com, and go under distribution. We're sold in most major liquor stores in New Jersey. We're in eastern Pennsylvania, a little bit in Maine, a little bit in Virginia. But every liquor store can get it because we're distributed by large, good distributors. So if you don't have it and don't see it in your liquor store, you tell them to get it for you.
Always ask. Always ask if you don't see it.
You know, if you go to buy a car, you're going to say, I want this color. You go to a liquor store, they don't have the beer you want, you tell them to get it. That's what they do.
And it's actually more than IPA, because you told me a little bit earlier off camera that in a couple hours here in this massive festival here in Secaucus, you're going to be, I don't want to say debuting, but let's say previewing, if you will, for some of the folks here, another beer. And that is what?
That's our bourbon barrel-aged porter.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have a porter released during the winter, which is a sensational porter to begin with, and we aged it in Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels for 6 months. And I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite beers, and I'm looking at the bottles down here. I can't wait. I can't wait. And when you taste it, it is just mind-blowing.
So I kind of found the shortcut to get back to your booth. If I come back here in a couple hours, maybe we can crack one open, you think?
You know, it's great. It's great to have good friends, you know?
These are two faces made for radio, but I think we made this segment work today. What do you think, Rick?
I hope so. I hope so.
Rick, it's always a pleasure seeing you. I don't get to see you often enough, but I always enjoy chatting with you. And you're putting out some damn good beers. Like we said, if you want to make the transition to craft beers and you're in this area, check out Cricket Hill.
And I'll probably see you in Philadelphia in a month or two, right?
I would think so. Yeah, you coming down to AC in the spring also, or no?
I'm not going to be there, but the beers will be there.
The company will be. All right, so look for us throughout the Garden State and actually beyond now, moving a little bit beyond the borders of New Jersey.
There you go. Welcome to the Venture, Garden State. Welcome to the adventure.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
Cheers, everyone.
Be sure to look out at the end of this year for the release of Gary Monteroso's book, Artisan Beer, a complete guide to savoring the world's finest beers, published by Burford Books.